Frog hopping would be good. Snake slithering would be good for this story. So, I'll tell you what, you might want to give me enough room to walk around up here though, so I don't step on your toes or something. I think stories need a little room sometimes, you know, so you gotta have a little room. And especially this story, it takes place in a forest far, far away, and in the middle of the forest is a clearing, and in that clearing is a village, a peaceful, beautiful village with huts for each person, little library huts, little playgrounds. It's a wonderful village. It's ruled by a wise and benevolent queen, and this queen has 5 sons who are so talented, so strong, so brave, so wise, everyone admires them. And this queen has 1 young daughter. This daughter is also wise and brave and talented, and her special talent is that every morning, before anyone else in the village wakes up, this princess wakes up and she sings a morning song and wakes up the whole village. Well, also in this forest, in this big, deep, dark forest, there's a clearing where there's a lake. Deep lake full of water, and underneath all the water is a layer of thick, goopy mud. And underneath the mud is a very crusty, rocky place, and in the middle of that is a hole, a dark, deep hole. And way down inside the hole is a snake. He lives in the hole, and he comes out every night to hunt and find little creatures that he can catch by surprise and gobble up. Oh, this snake lives so much in darkness that he harbors resentments in his heart. And one of the things that he most resents is all these happy, peaceful people in the village, and most especially the queen and her family, and most especially this princess who sings a morning song right as he's trying to go to sleep every time with the singing. So the snake is deeply hateful. One night, a very bright, clear night, the snake is out in the forest, and he's slithering through the forest, hunting little animals, and he comes to the edge of that clearing where the village is. He realizes he's there, and he sticks his snaky head out into the clearing. No one's awake, no one's around, and so he slithers a little more of his body out into the clearing. No one can see him, and so he slithers all the way out into the clearing and across the clearing up to the first hut he comes to, sticks his head in, sniffs around. You know how snakes sniff? They stick their tongues out. So he sniffs around, and he realizes he's in the hut where the princess is fast asleep. There she is, laid out on her sleeping mat, innocent, peaceful. And so this snake slithers all the way up to her head, because you know snakes start at the head in case their victim struggles. And with a big crack, he unhinges his jaws the way snakes do, and he swallows that princess head first right into his body, all in one piece. And then he slithers back out of the hut, across the clearing, into the forest, and he gets to the lake and goes down into the water, through the mud, through the rocky hole, and into his lair. And he doesn't have to worry about that morning song. He goes right to sleep. Well, in the morning, the queen wakes up first, and she thinks, what's that funny thing? It's silence. My daughter is not singing the morning song. I wonder if she's getting to be a teenager or something. Well, the queen gets up and goes to tease her daughter and wake her up to sing the morning song. But of course, she gets to the princess's sleeping mat, and it's empty. And the queen knows immediately something's terribly wrong, and she throws back her head and says, "Find my daughter!" Well, all 5 of her sons, the princes, come running quickly to her side, and they see the empty sleeping mat too, and they're appalled, shocked. Oh no, what an alarm! And she says it again, "Save my daughter!" Well, the first prince has this particular talent that he can track any track better than anyone else. So he drops down to his hands and knees, And he sniffs all along the length of the sleeping mat, and he smells snake. And he begins to follow the snake's track all the way across that clearing, into the woods, through the woods, around the trees, and all the way up to the edge of that lake. And you can't track through water, so he just stands back. There's nothing more he can do. But the queen says, "Find my daughter!" So the second son steps up. Now this son's particular talent is that he has such a capacity for drinking. Why, it's like Aggieville on spring break. He can drink more than you can possibly imagine. He gets down on his hands and knees and he makes his lips into kind of a straw, and he starts to suck up the water in the lake. And he sucks it up, and the level of the lake goes down and down and down until finally there's nothing but the muddy bottom of the lake left, and he steps back. Boom, boom, boom. Nothing more he can do. But the queen, "Save my daughter!" So the third brother steps up. Now he has these unusual hands. They're enormous hands, big old muscular arms. He can dig faster than 150 men at once with shovels, faster than any kind of those great big highway machines. So he starts to scoop the mud out of the bottom of the lake. He scoops it, he piles it up in great heaping mountains on either side of the lake until there's no more mud, just that rocky bottom and that big dark hole. But he can't dig through rock. Nothing he can do, so he stands back. He's done. And the queen says it again, "Find my daughter!" So the fourth son gets right up to the edge of the hole. He's this incredibly stretchable guy. And so he puts his hand down in the hole and he starts to stretch his arm way down there, and he can feel the snake's body. And he gets his hand, his fingers stretched to wrap around the snake, and he pulls it up, and the snake's fighting him. But he pulls it up, and all the brothers together grab that snake, and they hold him down, and they take a knife, carefully slit along the edge of the snake. There's the princess, still in one piece. They lift her out, put her on the edge of the lake. But she has died. The princess is dead. And the queen throws back her head and says, "Save my daughter!" Which is when the fifth brother steps forward. He is a shaman. He knows magic. And so he takes out his little pouch with pollen and with magical herbs. And he takes out a rattle and he starts to shake out a rhythm. And his body starts to move. And he starts to say an incantation over the princess. And all of a sudden she sits up and takes a big breath and starts to sing her morning song. So here's the question that everybody has to think about today. Who saved the princess?
The little kings.
The little princes? All of them, maybe? Sometimes I wonder if she could have been saved without her mother's love, too. Some kids have even asked me if she could have been saved at all if it weren't for the snake. Something to think about. Now is it time for the kids to go to their... Oh, if it weren't for the snake?